Hi, I'm Rachel and welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. Today is the week 12 garden tour and it is also the first week that I'm going to be doing a harvest in the garden tour. There are a few things that need to come up and I wanted to take you guys with me as I pulled up some of that. So without further ado, here's the garden. Alright, so I'm over here with the peas and carrots side of the bed. And I think a lot of the carrots are ready to come out. Look at that. That's like the perfect Oxheart shaped carrot. Now these carrots aren't as big as I would like, but it's already been like over 100 days since they've been planted, and carrots are really supposed to be in the range of like 60 to 70 days. And I don't want them to get bitter by me leaving them in the ground too long and getting too greedy with the size of them, so they're coming out. Look at how dark that is. This is a black nebula carrot. As far as I know, this is the darkest colored carrot you can grow. Isn't that cool? This is the third black nebula carrot I've had now where it was stuck so deep the top came off. And then I almost couldn't wrestle it out of the soil. You can see the end of the root is broken off too. I wonder why the black nebulas are stuck so tight down in there. You keep pulling up these baby-sized ones right next to the big ones. Alrighty, well I definitely made a dent in the carrots, but a lot of them are still teeny tiny, like not even worth pulling up tiny. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks those will fill out, and also hopefully they won't get bitter. Now if you look at the peas right along here, you can see it's about the end of their time. I picked a whole bunch of pods off of them recently. I tried shelling them and that actually went alright. It was just a lot of work. But these will probably die off soon in the heat. Alrighty, so here is the rest of the bed. Earlier this week I cut back that jungle back there, if you believe it. Look at these tomatoes. Look how tall this one's getting. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I've got lots of flowers, but I haven't had really many fruits set. Maybe that's a fruit setting right there. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh well. Anyways, most things are doing pretty well. Lots of flowers, not much fruit setting, but you know, it's been some weird temperatures, I think, is the thing. The tomatoes can't decide if it's actually safe to set fruit yet. Except I do have this one here. This is an Amish paste tomato. I'm not sure if he'll get any bigger than this, maybe a little bit bigger than this. And then of course we have the radish jungle. I swear I keep cutting this back and it keeps growing more and more. Keeps the bees around though. In between here you can see my single seed challenge tomato. He's doing alright. He had set a fruit and then something like ate half of it before it got bigger than the size of a pea, so that was really disappointing. but I think he's doing all right. I've got to cut this back again so that he's not too crowded out. And I've pulled a lot of the turnips too. It's hard to tell, but this is definitely getting less bushy over here. And one of them went to flower. You can see these pretty yellow flowers. That's the turnip flowering. I think I'll let one, maybe two go to seed so that I have seeds, but I learned my lesson with the radish jungle. 10 is far too many to let go to seed. This is that almost. So my phone just shut off because it said it was too hot out here. It's only like 78, I think. Oh, 79 now. But I guess the sun was too much for it, so we're gonna hang out here in the shade for a hot minute while phone cools down. And in the meantime, I'm gonna pull the greens off of my carrots. The quicker you can do this, the better, because as soon as you pull the carrot out of the ground, the leaves are still trying to get nutrients up into them, right? And they're pulling that from their root. And we don't want that. We want our roots to stay delicious and full of all of their nutrients. So pulling the greens off your carrots ASAP is a good idea. This is probably the biggest black nebula carrot I was able to pull out. They were really hard to pull out. I mentioned that 3 of them I broke the greens off of and then had to like grab on and yank, and those were still really difficult to get out. So one of the black nebula carrots was so stuck in there that I had to leave it. I swear I had like this much of it sticking out and was grabbing and pulling and twisting. Still couldn't get it out. I would have to probably come back in there with a shovel and like dig the whole thing out. And I didn't want to disturb all the carrots around it. I figure it's good compost. Some of these are really small, but I hope that they're very sweet. If you didn't make the connection already, this is the carrot that is in my logo that's in the bottom corner. The Auxhart carrot, it's shaped kind of like an Oxheart. It's supposed to be this short and really fat. And the reason that I started growing these carrots in the first place is because they're supposed to be really good for pushing outwards in clay soil. And I do have clay soil at the bottom of my beds, and I also thought they looked really cool, and I figured it couldn't hurt to try it out. I like them. I might grow them again. I might see how they grow in the fall, because like I was saying, these carrots, I think I counted a couple days ago, is at 115 days, which is super long for a carrot. And I'm not entirely sure why they're taking so long. It might be because of how cool it was when I planted them. Carrots are theoretically cool weather crops, but everything grows slower when it's cold. So maybe they just got off to a slow start. Yeah, we're gonna try again in the fall and see what happens. I also have some more carrot varieties that I'm putting in after all of these come out that are heat-loving carrot varieties. So I'm hoping that they'll grow through the summer. And that would be really cool. Oh, look at this one. That's like the perfect carrot. Looks just like my logo. So while we're here having a little chat, why don't you guys tell me something about y'all? There's a lot of you who've been in the comments pretty consistently, and I'd like to get to know y'all because you guys are always so nice to me. Sometimes I don't feel like I deserve that, but I do appreciate it. So tell me something about y'all. Throw a little factoid down in the comments because I do like getting to know you guys. I think the community is really the most important part of this whole thing, and getting to know you guys and your situations will help me figure out what videos I can do that would be most helpful to you guys. Oh, look at that. That's another perfectly shaped one. They're supposed to get pretty big, these Oxhearts. The picture on the package shows a little girl. She's got to be like, I don't know, 4 or 5. And she's holding up this carrot, and it's like bigger than her fist. But like I said, I don't want to get too greedy with the size of these things because happened to my mom last year. She waited too long to pull her carrots, and then they were all bitter and inedible. So better to have small edible carrots than no edible carrots at all. So do you ever pull a carrot that's like this teeny and you think, oh, should I really save it? The answer is yes. If you've ever made your own vegetable stock, little teeny carrots like this are perfect to go in it. I mean, among other things. I'm thinking about doing a video showing you guys how I make vegetable stock with various scraps from around the garden. If you're interested in that, please say so. Yeah, so don't throw away anything. I mean, even teeny ones like this, you can put in your stock. Like, you're not going to add a lot, but at least you're going to get something out of them. And you can still compost them after you've made stock with them. So you can extract every little bit of nutrients out of them. Alrighty, this is all the carrots that I just pulled. This is about, I don't know, like 1/4 of what was in that bed. It's most of what was like edible sized. But theoretically, if they all grew properly, I would have like 4 times as many carrots in that section of bed. Look at this cutie. Oh, well, I'm glad he's here and not in the garden anymore. Oh, look at him go. All right, so we are back here outside at the trellis. The beans are starting to go. I've got little ones coming in. Let's see if I can find one. Here we go. There's one. I'm thinking that this is the 1500-year-old cave bean because I think a noodle bean would grow a lot longer before it got fat like that. So that means this shape leaf is my cave bean, and then these glossier, thinner ones over here are going to be my noodle beans. And these are the ones that are taking like a lot longer to get started. You can see they're just now starting to send up their little vining shoots, but that's okay. We have time. Over here I've got my Malabar spinach coming right along. Nowhere near needing a trellis yet, but maybe in the next couple of weeks it'll move over to the trellis. And here is my garlic bed. You can see it's looking pretty raggedy now. I mentioned maybe in the last garden tour that I'd seen online some places say knock them over before you pick them, and other places didn't mention it at all. So I knocked over some of them, and some of them I left alone, and we will see how these are going. We can pull one up right now, take a look at how it's doing. Let's see. Let's look at you. I've been pulling one every few days or so. Oh, that's pretty decent. It's not like the biggest garlic I've ever seen, but it's definitely not small. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I might start pulling these in the next couple of days. Over here I have my lone plants in the greenhouse. The peppers will probably stagnate right about here until I move them. Maybe they'll go in the garlic bed with the squash. I don't know. I don't have anywhere else to put them. I don't have any more containers, so they're either going to live there or they're going to go out into a bed somewhere. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do today is pull some potatoes. As you can see, this one is pretty much dead. Like, it's hanging on, but just barely, and some of these stems have like completely dried up. I'm not entirely sure what I did wrong, if I did anything wrong, but basically my potatoes were from the store. They were russet potatoes, and I couldn't tell if they were kind of russet that need to be mounded or not. I probably could have guessed that they needed to be mounded, but I thought, oh, you know, it won't matter if they do need to be mounded and I don't mound them. That's better for them than if they don't need to be mounded and I do mound them. And I do think that they probably needed to be mounded, which might be why they flopped over initially. But plants never did flower, and I pulled up some teeny potatoes from here as I've just been looking around, but I think it's time to see what's all in this bag. Alright, so we got a couple. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I'm trying to save as much of this potting soil as possible. Alrighty, well that's something. Yeah? There's not nothing in here, which I think is the big win for me. Look at that. These are teeny. But this is very dead. Alright, so this just fell out. I think this might be the original seed potato. I hope it's not a fresh potato that rotted. Uh-oh. Yeah, so this kind of looks like a fresh potato I had that rotted. I still got this guy. This guy looks fine. But yeah, that's really disappointing. That looks like that would have been a good-sized potato. But now it's compost. You know, it's still useful. Like, it's a little sad for sure, but it's okay. I'm gonna get some potatoes from this. Alrighty, well that is what I got out of that bag. If we assume all the other bags are the same, I'm getting something like 10 small, like eating sized potatoes out of each of the big bags. There's 3 more of those, so that's 30. And then the 2 little ones. So, you know, honestly not bad. Like, I'm happy with this, to be honest. So, do you guys think it's time to pull the rest of these potatoes? That was the worst looking one that I did. The rest of these still at least have some green on them. So let me know what you think, if you have an opinion. Alright, let's take a look at everything else before we go in. We've got my refugee tomatoes out here. They're looking good. My ginger coming up, as well as my basils. I actually pulled a little bit from these to make some pesto this week. And we've got my stevia coming in great. My tomatillos, I still only have 2 fruits set on these plants, and they're getting kind of massive. Not really sure why. Maybe it's a temperature thing, but hopefully I'll get more than 2 tomatillos. And if you look, my dwarf tomatoes, look how cute those are. I cannot wait for them to turn orange. Now peppers are looking good. None of them have set fruit yet, but they are all looking like way more lush, than they have. Except, so the ones that aren't really growing are these jigsaw peppers. They look healthy, but I swear they're not getting any bigger. I mean, maybe it's just the variety and they're taking a while to get started, but I don't know. The rest of the peppers look good, so I'm not too concerned. And if we take a quick look back here, you can see all my herbs, the spinach. The lettuce looks really sad because it's so hot out here right now. But yeah, everything's looking great. Dill continuing to get way too tall. Alright, so here are my dragon tongue beans. And I'm actually starting to set beans on the plants. They are looking pretty cool, actually. If you look real close, you can see the little streaks starting to come in. That's pretty neat. You can see it maybe a little bit better on this one. Little streaks. So yeah, maybe I'll be picking beans very soon. I am concerned though, because if you look at these plants, like the color is a little off in the leaves. I'm not sure if they were just like overwatered from all that rain I had last week. Trying to let them dry out and be a little more normal. And I added some nitrogen because I figured all of that rain probably washed a lot out of the soil. But if you know what's going on with these, like look at that. That's so funny. Yeah, if you know what's going on with these, let me know, because it's happening. If we come up over here, it's happening with these too. It's not as bad, but it is happening. We've got little beans coming on back there. None of them are turning pink yet, but I'm very excited for my pink beans. And these are the black beans. These ones have started to flower. All three of the bush beans I chose this year have pink flowers, which is crazy to me because I think average they're white. I think most beans make white flowers. So that's very interesting to me. If we come over here, my squash is exploding. Look at my pumpkin. He goes all the way around here. And he's coming out over there. And he's got a little tendril coming out over here. So he is taking off. My cucumbers are finally putting out their tendrils to start climbing. So hopefully this will look like a little bit less of a hot mess very soon once they all start climbing up the trellises. So if we come into the porch, here's that garlic I was talking about that I keep pulling. That one on the right is the one we pulled today. And you can kind of see they're like getting slightly bigger the longer I wait. I read online that here at the end, sometimes the bulbs can double in size in as little as a week, which is why I'm checking them so often. And I've also got the last of my onions curing out here. You can see I finally did get some of the violet ones. But yeah, they're all kind of small. I still don't know what I did wrong with my onions. Like, I got onions, yeah, but I think they matured early and definitely did not get as big as I think they should have. Last but not least, we have these little squashes on the windowsill. We've got spaghetti squash over here, and those ones over there are pumpkins. These are what's going into that space where the garlic is after it's done. So I can have a few winter squashes. And here at the edge is the plant from my dad. It's growing quite nicely. Alrighty, and that is the garden tour / harvest tour for this week. This was week 12. If you want to go back and look, there's a whole playlist with all of the garden tours on it. So if you're brand new to the channel, you can go ahead and catch up on all of those. And I will be back next week for another garden tour. And hopefully one of these weeks we'll be harvesting our first peppers and tomatoes. It won't be next week, but very soon, I'm hoping. Maybe next week will be beans and more potatoes if I don't pull them before then. And maybe garlic. We'll see. I don't really know what I'm doing, especially when it comes to the potatoes and the garlic. So anything you guys have to say is super appreciated. Alrighty, and that is where I'm gonna leave you guys for now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, I wish you happy gardening.